Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, time for another sprint zone, and we are heading up County Road 5 towards the Melee area. Nice long shot of the group here, and this is actually some pretty decent riding. Pretty much, handlebar to handlebar, but we're coming into that section of the road that is really dicey, and so everyone likes to try to find their own line here, which is good. It's a good, safe thing to do. But what I do like here is, at least for the first couple of rows, there's good spacing in between the riders. Looking back a little bit, still a little bit too much pack riding at this point. I mean, if you look at the wattage I'm putting out and I'm up front, 30-second power, 144. It's not like there's a ton of wattage being put out, but it could be the road. In any case, people are looking pretty good here, and I think we'll just fast forward here a little bit. But I should take this time to thank Scott Polyev for his telemetry and video. It's kind of a sad day that my camera didn't switch over to the second video. So I've got a few seconds of what my camera has, and the rest will be Scott's video. And there we've got Scott's video appearing in the upper right. Things are looking pretty good. We've got newcomer OG Ron Kennedy there in the breakaway kit in the bright yellow. Always willing to do work. Always up at the front, and it's good to see him back in the fold after many years of being away. Little stretch there as we come into the area and we wait for everyone to be around the corner. I didn't realize I had gotten this much of a gap here because I wasn't going that hard. 30-second power, 60-something, stage power in the hundreds. Daniel up the road a little bit. He's a little bit anxious as he comes off of the front waving people through, and I don't really like the wave thing, and I'm going to call people out here. Greg Kuchta does it. Other people wave through. I'm like, when I used to race back in the day, it was illegal, at least in Cat 4, to take your hands off the handlebars, except for like when you got a flat when you should raise your hand, and this waving in the hands, I don't know, I think it's just unnecessary. It kind of like, it's the sprint zone. People can do whatever they want, but it's just my expectations. I just go wiggle your elbow if you want people to come through. Don't be on the front if that's the case, but I digress. Anyway, people looking strong there. Ian riding above his station, but strong enough to be where he is now. My 30-second power, 280, 270, and I'm definitely keeping people honest. Ron and I were chatting about his power, and it's like, we can't hold this for the whole event, but at least want to keep some people honest and get a pretty decent workout here. And there's a slight bit of headwind, little bit out of the southeast. And you can see slight little echelon beginning to form as we switch over to Scott's camera. Looking at Scott's power, he is way below mine because he's sitting in my 30-second still 250 as we crest the top of the hill. And this is where I am not going to be doing any more work. Lots of big engines back here. No reason for me to be out there doing anything. And you can see the big disparity of how much the difference is. Look, my heart rate's at 170. That's above my threshold. Scott's is at 147. I need to come off the front, and I do. And let's see who takes over the mantle here. Ian following me back. And it looks like might be Jason at the front. And it looks like Jonathan behind. Looks like the other John behind him. Tony, and perhaps that looks like maybe Marcelo. And it's a pretty decent pace. I think it may have picked up, but now we're going downhill a little bit. But you can see my watch are dramatically dropping. Not quite to where Scott's are, but pretty close. He's at 107. I'm at 115 for the 30-second. So you can see big recovery effort in the back by me. Everyone looking to wait, it looks like, because you can see a lot of the soft pedaling. People could take over, and the speed is still up there. People still willing to work a little bit. Jonathan's got good position there. The other John has got good position, and as you see, the speed must be going down because Scott drifts up ever so slowly, easily towards the front as Mr. Day takes over, pushing good wattage out there. Speed dropped a little bit from 23 earlier down to 20, but it is a flat area. And here's this section where it is usually a selection zone when the big men are here, But I should point out there are no supers here today, so we will see what will happen amongst ourselves. I'd say Scott, arguably, or not arguably, the strongest rider in here. And I was looking at his power numbers since he gave me his telemetry. Very interesting that his maximum power wasn't even in this sprint zone. It was in the next sprint zone where it hit 1,000 watts up that little grade. So definitely a difference in power distribution in this sprint zone versus the other one. So now we got John out front doing some work as the other Jonathan comes off. Tony looking strong there, and the speed is up to 24 miles an hour. I'm pretty much recovered at this point. My heart rate's only in 150 below threshold, power 32nd, like 90. And it's pretty close to what Scott has. So life is good back here. And now Tony takes over. And he is always willing to work hard. Last year's state champion in his age group. Not certain what's happened this year, but a strong rider in any case. 21 miles an hour, looking good, points out some stuff, and Scott has got a really good position here. I'm not certain where I am now. Really bummed that the camera just didn't switch over because I had plenty of battery and plenty of disk space. I don't know what is wrong with that thing, but it's been acting up in the last couple of weeks. I don't know what's going on. Might be time for another one, but I digress. 30-second power by each of us heading up. So if Scott's power is like 260s, Tony must be putting well over 300 watts up there, and he's been out there for a reasonable period. I am certain everyone appreciates his efforts as he drives hard at the front, not looking for any help at this point. There's a selection zone coming up pretty soon where the hill is going to help decide who can hang and who not. Nice work there, Tony. And you can see in the little map at that little T, this is probably only a 3% grade or so, but 3% is, you can feel that, especially when someone attacks, and someone always attacks at this point of view. Scott looking strong at the front, pushing 200 watts plus 30-second. Oh, and the instantaneous creeping up here over 400 as it is now go time. I've settled in nicely in the back, and I'm like 200 watts less than him at the peak there. 340 for me, like 5 something for him. And here we go. Let's see what we're gonna do. 500 watts, and Scott is pushing pretty hard. His heart rate is finally up to 161 as it looks like he's pulling off at the top. Mine 173, so way over threshold for me, but I believe I am still in contact at this point, although it was quite challenging. Marcelo at the front, and Daniel, the always anxious Daniel, second wheel. And there's Curtis for the first time showing his head. I'm certain he's been resting back there for a long while. Joel looking strong there as he is in good position and training for the Steamboat Gravel race coming up in the next couple of weeks. He has taken his focus off of running and onto riding. And there goes Mr. Kennedy in the yellow, going to the front as he perceived a lull in the pace. And Ron is always willing to animate, always willing to work hard. And this is good because there are too many people, and this is Ron's maybe second or third time at the front, have not even seen the front yet. Wheel suckers if you want. Looking for a good placement in the sprint zone. I always like to get a good workout here. My tactics would be totally different if I really cared about this. But you want to work hard. This is where you want to do your over-unders. At this point, my heart rate's still in the 170, so I am totally over. But this is good training here. Ron comes off, and there was a slight echelon, right to left. I might have come off the other side, but it's so slight that, it's okay. And many times if you do come off the right side, folks just kind of just sit on you. So maybe a dramatic pull off there is okay. Daniel forced to the front, and life is good. And the heads of state are starting to be all present there. Scott biding his time, looking strong there. On there, 800 watts for a second, and that looked like an attack. Was that by Mr. Kennedy? Yes. Always willing to throw down and hurt some people. Perhaps he was not satisfied with the efforts of those who were trying to contribute at the front. Maybe he sensed some soft pedaling, some tactics going on. And here we go. Is Curtis finally shamed into going to the front to do a little bit of work? And that's always a good thing as we get to the final incline here. 25 miles an hour, and the pace is good. And I believe at this point I have been dispatched. Everyone looking strong here. Joel in great position, and the extra focus he had spent on cycling, doing the war and the sore rides, as long as OCR, PCR, etc., has really paid off. I should probably take a look at his Strava and see how many miles he is actually putting in, but he's definitely upped his game. Curtis pulls off, and here goes Daniel with an attack, standing up, and looks like this is easily covered. Scott putting in just a little under 400, and Daniel is brought back, and I must say this was kind of weak. I'm like, okay, it was really weak and way too early, and he kind of sits up. I'm not certain I would have put out that kind of effort that early. In any case, Joel looking pretty strong here. My heart rate up to 175, so I must still be in contact here, because I would not be pushing myself that hard at this point. Joel looking really strong here as Scott comes to the front. And here's the assault. 600 watts at 23 miles an hour up the incline. My heart rate 177, so I'm probably still in contact. 178, I have not seen it that high. And now that I have the Garmin HRM Pro, I'm actually believing this heart rate as I am working hard. This is probably the first Tuesday ride where I have not raced or had any hard weekend rides, so I am relatively fresh for the most part. Scott pushing hard, and it doesn't look like there are any contenders looking to go around him at this point. I know people must be close, and this is where I regret not having the 360 camera, but I wasn't here at this point anyhow, so I wouldn't have been able to see who was actually there. Once again, nice work, Scott. Nice work. And a good time was had by all. Yeah, that was good. And I must be pushing pretty hard because my heart rate's still in the 160s, high 160s, above my threshold. So definitely could see I was a lot fresher, but not able to contest for this one. Tony looking good there. And it looks like who else is going to come through? I'm guessing, looks like Ron Kennedy. I'm guessing those are our top three. Well done, everyone. Well done. Maybe at some point. Oh, and there's Curtis looking good. At some point, I'll have to give somebody else the camera and say, okay, hey, you're the camera person now. I'm retiring. But that won't happen anytime soon. All right. Until next time, everyone. Peace out.